Hello, welcome to another video. My name is Kemal AA, and this is another Chelsea transfer news video, but also a talking point video because I'll be comparing two specific strikers that are linked to Chelsea, that being of course Erling Haaland and Romelu Lukaku. Now according to Matt Law, he is a potential plan B option, so I'll be delving into the news reports. I'll be going into detail on what Matt Law actually said, and then I'll be comparing the statistics, who would suit our style better, who would Thomas Tuchel prefer, how would they fit into our tactical setup. We'll be delving into all of that, but before I do, make sure you smash the like button, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and comment down below your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. But without further ado, let's get straight into this news daily video, and starting off with the biggest news story of today, and it was broken by Matt Law. Now anything that's broken by Matt Law, you can take it legitimately. As I've always said, he's a reliable reporter, a reliable journalist who he has connections within the club. He's got his own sources, so anything he does say that he releases, for the Telegraph, that's written specifically by him on the Chelsea piece, is 100% true. And he's stating that Chelsea are not the only club interested in Erling Haaland, which means that alternatives will have to be considered, including former Stamford Bridge forward Romelu Lukaku, who has been in outstanding form for Inter Milan. Now, let's look at that outstanding form that Matt Law's actually alluding to, that he's talking about. Now, last season, he had a tremendous season of 36 Serie A games. He had 23 goals and 2 assists. This season, in 10 less matches, in 26 matches, he's got 19 goals and 8 assists. So not just he's scoring, but he's also racking up those assists. And he really implies that he's really sorted out his link-up game, because for him to get that many assists, it means that his link-up game has to be on point. Now, there is some context to that, because they play very defensive, counter-attacking style of football. Lukaku's got the strength, the power, the pace, the bulge, and storm through those counter-attacks and bully those defenders to score loads of goals. And that is Lukaku's game to a team, where he works for counter-attacking teams. Now, my main concern with Lukaku is, does he fit Thomas Tuchel's system perfectly? Does he fit a counter-pressing system? And I'll be answering that question later in the video. But from a purely goals and assists record, from a purely statistic standpoint, he's got phenomenal world-class stats. So again, don't forget, he is 27 years of age, so he's entering his prime years, and he's always wanted to play for Chelsea. He always idolises Didier Drogba. He wants to emulate Drogba. He's been at Chelsea before. We have history with him, so this still would make sense. But I'll be getting into the finances, the logistics, and would he fit us tactically. Now, as I said, in regards to Matt Law's report, we need to have a plan B. We have to. As I keep stressing with Haaland, Chelsea are not going to be the only club in for him. Chelsea are simply not going to be the only club in for him. We have to come to terms with this. We have to understand this. Chelsea, of course, are going to be in for him. Man City, Manchester United, both of the big Spanish giants, and Barcelona and Real Madrid. We need to understand that Chelsea are not favourites for Haaland. So, of course, you need a backup option. You need an alternative plan. And even though Roman Abramovich really wants Haaland, he's desperate for Haaland, he's really ambitious, and this is all good news, this is all fantastic, don't get me wrong, but in life, in football, you always have to have a backup option. And as I keep stressing, Lukaku for me is the perfect plan B option. I think that he's prolific, he's lethal, he scores a lot of goals, he's strong, he's powerful, he fits the Premier League in terms of physicality, he's in his prime years, he would be arguably cheaper than Haaland as well, even though he would come at a massive cost and price. However, would I be that happy? That's the thing. In regards to his assists and his history of Chelsea, for me, Lukaku is a top player, but the problem I have with Lukaku is a system player. And this is the main issue I've always had with Lukaku, is he's a systematic player. And that's the main problem, is he's not that technically gifted. His technical ability is a bit lacking. He's got limited tech. I'm not sure about his high IQ, his footballing brain, and his link up and first touch. Everyone mocks his first touch. He's got a very poor first touch, although I haven't seen him that much in Serie A. But again, it's a league that suits him. He plays in a system. He plays with a manager that suits exactly to his style. That team is tailor-made for Romelu Lukaku. Now think of Thomas Tuchel. Think of Chelsea's perspective here. We sign Romelu Lukaku. We don't even play with a two-man up front formation. We either play as a 4-3-3 or a three-at-the-back formation, meaning Lukaku is going to be a lone striker, meaning he's going to majority of the time have his back to goal. If he has his back to goal, and again, he's perfectly able to do this because he has the physical presence, he's got the pace and power, but Tuchel's all about that counter-pressing, that fluid attacking football. Now, for that to happen, you have to have more to your game as a striker than just banging in goals. You have to have good link-up play. You have to have a good first touch. You have to be able to pass the ball. And that's my main problem with Lukaku, is those are his weaknesses. His first touch, his link-up play, it's not the best. And even though it probably has improved from the Manchester United days, I still think there's question marks there. And then the second point, how much is it going to cost? You know, Inter Milan are going to easily command at least, 85, 90 million pounds for him, because this is a Lukaku that's in his prime. Inter Milan themselves paid about £75 million for him. We are in a pandemic. Inter Milan need finances. And of course, you've got Antonio Conte, who has bad blood and bad history of Chelsea. We had that court legal settlement. Chelsea had to pay Antonio Conte £9 million. Conte will probably be reluctant to sell his best player, so Inter Milan are going to command top dollar for him. Plus, added to the fact that Antonio Conte would not want to sell any player to Chelsea, we're going to have to spend or splash at least 85 to 90 million pounds on this guy. And then if you think about it realistically, what's the point? Because Erling Haaland's going to cost, £140 million? Just slap another 50 and you've got yourself one of the most best generational talents at 20 years of age. And that's what you're essentially paying for. You're paying for the potential. You're paying for the generational talent. You're paying for the age. You're paying for that ceiling in Erling Haaland. And as I said, if Erling Haaland doesn't happen, I would be open and I'll be welcoming Lukaku, but I would have my question marks whether he can tactically fit into his system. Because if he did play in a Thomas Tuchel system, Thomas Tuchel would have to completely change his style just to tailor make it for Lukaku, or Lukaku will struggle in this system. Because as I keep stressing, Lukaku is a system player, and some will argue, look, Haaland's link-up play is a bit suspect. His passing is quite average, and again, he's a bit like Lukaku, where he's got that physical presence, pace and power, and he's able to bang goals. The difference between Lukaku and Haaland is Haaland doesn't miss that many chances. This is the problem with Lukaku. Lukaku misses a lot of chances. If you look at his record against the top six, if you look at his record against the top teams, it's really poor. It's really, really poor. He seems to stat pad against the smaller teams where he bullies those teams. Whereas Haaland, this guy is a monster. This guy scores against any opposition. That's the thing. Haaland has a 50% conversion rate. Do you know how insane that is? 50%. That means every 2 chances he's banging one in the net. Do you know how incredible that is? That is by far the highest in Europe. That is up there with your Messi's, etc. and Ronaldo's when he was in his prime. And he's 20 years of age, so that's the thing with Haaland. For me, Haaland doesn't have to have good link-up play or passing, because he's going to bag you a goal every game anyway, because the guy just bags goals and goals and goals and goals. Whereas Lukaku, he misses a lot of chances, and I think that especially in this system right now, we don't create a lot of chances. We don't really have that creator right now, so that's where I have question marks over Lukaku. Now, in regards to Haaland's stats, just to back up my point here, in the Bundesliga last season, he had 15 games, 13 goals. This season, 21 games, 21 goals. This guy is a monster. So basically, he's scoring a goal every single game. This is what I'm saying. You don't need good link-up play. You don't need good passing, because if you're scoring a goal every game, you're going to be winning Chelsea matches. You're going to be getting us 3 points on a consistent basis. And you are going to push us ever so closer to that Premier League title or to win a Champions League, because you are consistently scoring on a continuous basis. Whereas Lukaku, his record against top six is poor. Whereas Haaland's Lukaku against the best teams, he scores. He scored a brace against Bayern Munich away at the Allianz this season. He scored against Sevilla 3 times. And this guy, right, was in the Champions League round of 16. This guy does it on the big stage, and he's 20 years of age. Whereas, again, Lukaku is 27. Lukaku has 7 years on Haaland. Now, again, as I keep stressing, if we are unable to get Haaland for whatever reason, because we have a lot of clubs interested in him, then I'd welcome Lukaku. But it's a case for me of Haaland is the better player. He's 7 years younger. He's a better goal scorer. He's a lethal finisher and a generational talent. He's arguably stronger than Lukaku as well. For me, it's a no-brainer that Haaland has to be first choice. But it's good news to hear that Chelsea are having alternative backup options just in case the Haaland deal doesn't go through. And as I keep saying, Haaland doesn't perfectly fit Tuchel's system, because in Tuchel's system you need a striker that's good with link-up play, good with passing, and can bring man in. Haaland and Lukaku aren't those players, but the difference with Haaland and Lukaku is Haaland scores all the time. Haaland will only need a couple chances to back, whereas Lukaku might need 5 or 6 big chances, and that is not good enough, because in the Prem you're not going to get that space, you're not going to get that chances as you've seen with Timo Werner. Whereas with Lukaku in Serie A, when he's getting tons of space, he's playing on a counter-attack where there's pretty much endless amounts of space. In the Premier League, when Chelsea have pretty much all the possession, all the ball, you're going to be playing teams with low block. That's where you need your close control, your dribbling, your movement in the lines. Lukaku won't have that because his first touch is simply too poor, and that's where I have that massive question mark. He's more of a player that's suited to a counter-attacking team. See, if he went back to United, he'd thrive. And he's thriving right now on a counter-attacking team. But at Chelsea, that's possession-based, that's attacking-based, I don't think he'd be that successful. But that is just my thoughts, opinions. If you did enjoy it, don't forget to smash like, button, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and I'll see all of you guys for my next video. Peace.